Hello and welcome to episode 9 of the Real List podcast, a podcast about our real list. I'm your host, Ellis.
And I'm your host, Gloria.
And today we have a selection from me, of course. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm a Ghostbusters fan. Well, maybe not anyone. I've sort of picked up the fanaticism in the recent years. But, Ghostbusters Afterlife is the long awaited sequel to Ghostbusters I and II. Which were released back in the 80s, and this one came out in 2021. This is directed by Jason Reitman, who is the son of Ivan Reitman, who directed the first two. And it was also produced by Ivan Reitman. It stars Carrie Coon, Finn Wolfhard, McKenna Grace, Annie Potts, Ernie Hudson, Paul Rudd, and of course, well, I like how Ernie Hudson shows up here in under the starring. But Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray don't. I guess it was that second post-credit scene that got him slotted into the starring. To be fair, he deserves it. He's awesome. But yeah, and Annie Potts shows up in here despite being in one. Or sorry, no, that's I was thinking of Sigourney Weaver. Sigourney Weaver's up here. Annie Potts is over there. Well, I mean, she shows up in all of 2 scenes, but still. It's a follow-on. It's a passing the torch to the new Ghostbusters, to 4 kids, 2 of whom are the grandchildren of Egon Spengler, which rest in peace, Harold Ramis. And it's them uncovering their legacy, which also, in some, foreign adaptations, the film is called Ghostbusters Legacy, which is just as good of a name.
No, I kind of like Afterlife better.
I think Afterlife is good. Well, I see Legacy and I think of Tron Legacy, which also a movie that I love. Don't meh me.
Meh.
Haven't you not seen it?
I have seen it, and it was very meh.
It's not meh.
Maybe to you.
It's a 2-hour-long Daft Punk music video.
Listen, I went to see that in theaters, and I was
Oh my
like,
God,
why
jealous.
am I sitting through this rave?
Yeah.
And I was like, I hate this. I hate it here.
Oh. I thought you hadn't seen it.
I have seen it. I saw it in theaters.
Yes, you just said that. Fight me. Anyway, for
those who can't see, he did flinch.
the original surviving Ghostbusters come back basically as cameos, as to save the day, as they do. But most of the film, the vast majority, unbroken, is the new kids figuring out how to be Ghostbusters. Namely McKenna Grace and Finn Wolfhard playing people whose names I've suddenly forgot, despite the fact that I adore this.
Trevor.
Phoebe and Trevor, and also podcast.
Yeah, and podcast.
Because
I just jammed my nail into the desk.
Are you okay?
Ah.
Again, I'm bad with names. If you guys are coming off of this having watched the Encanto episode, you'll know how bad I am. But yeah, Phoebe and Trevor.
That's why he keeps me around.
I keep you around for way more reasons than that, but that is a good reason. I need to throw the ball to you and stop gushing, because I need to know what, because you are not a Ghostbusters superfan. You did not have 30 years of I need this movie, which I didn't either, but I felt like I did.
I mean, I like the Ghostbusters. Don't say I'm not a fan.
No, I said you're not a super fan.
Yeah, because you're just a nerd.
Yeah, I know I'm a nerd. You're also a nerd. Nerd.
Nerd.
Nerf herder. Hey, that's our word.
Bite me.
Anyway, so I want to know what you thought and what your favorite moment was, or moments.
Well, my favorite moment was when Trevor uncovers Ecto in the barn.
Yes.
And I was like, yes, give me Ecto. And also when Phoebe finds, what is it, the
ghost trap in the floor?
The thing where she was just walking around the house with it.
The PK detector, or whatever it's called.
and just walking around the house with it. And then when she would come home from school, there was a chessboard. Chess, right?
Yeah, it was a chessboard.
Chessboard near her bed, and she was playing chess with Egon.
Yep.
That was my favorite thing in the entire world.
It is great. I love how present the ghost of Egon is throughout the movie, and how like he's playing chess with his granddaughter. He is helping both of them. Really, he's helping her rebuild the proton pack and helping Trevor.
Fix Ecto.
Fix Ecto. Yeah, because you can see like the wire curl its way back in. And then, of course, he shows up in the climactic scene, which I just want to talk about the last act and how
Force Ghost.
Yeah, how they did Force Ghosts better than the new Star Wars trilogy, but the last act and how it is a replay, basically, of Egon's original plan, which is shown at the beginning of the movie, and it fails for exactly the same reason, which you might hear what I'm saying and think, well, that's dumb. You know, why didn't they iterate? Why didn't they, whatever. But he wasn't around to tell them that it didn't work. He wasn't around to tell them how it didn't work. Well, he was around, but he wasn't able to.
I would also like to say how, what's the mother's name in this movie?
I don't remember. I remember Gary Gruberson. I don't remember the mom's name.
Gary Gruberson.
I think Gary's trying to bone your mom. Nope. Also, we've left out
Callie.
Callie.
Yeah. I like how Callie was just always talking shit about Egon, and throughout the entire movie, to anybody she met, she was like, yeah, he's an asshole. Yeah, he left. And then, before she got turned into Zool, she goes down to the basement, which is led down by a fire pole, mind you.
Of course.
Great. And then finds all these pictures and how he was tracking her throughout her entire life. And she got all sentimental and everything. And then here comes Zool just creeping up on her. Like, I'm going to possess you because why not?
Yep. And then she, gets flirty with Podcast, which is hilarious.
And then she gets to third base with Gary Gruberson,
who's also possessed.
And the funny thing is, Gary doesn't get any different kind of outfit. You see Callie come up the mountain, and she transforms into this golden goddess. And then Ellis and I went to see this in theaters, and I was sitting next to him, and I was like, "Go mom!"
Yeah, you're like, "Damn, go mom!" And then they bang, and you're like, "Yeah, go mom!"
Go mom!
Which that sequence, I can't understand people ragging on that sequence. When it's just they're talking to each other in the possessed voices, and it's completely incomprehensible. He's like, "Oh, I like your eyes," and she eats the flower and whatever.
And then they just bone. What is that?
That cracked me up. I thought that was hilarious. I was like, "Yeah, no kidding. You can't understand them, and they can't even understand each other based on their reactions." It's like, yeah, and then they just go down out of sight of the camera.
Did you notice that? Because I was watching a video after we left the theater. Did you notice that Spinners had the sign during the big chase towards the end? The P went out and then it turned to Sinners.
Yes.
And then also it said Shakes and Fries, and the shake sign was out because of the constant constant earthquakes, quote unquote.
Earthquakes caused by Gozer trying to come back, triggering the anti-Gozer crossing the streams machine in the mine.
That fucking Egon Spengler built himself because he's a fucking genius.
He's I don't know. What are you doing? What is he doing? Don't worry, he's itching. I don't know. Which I was upset because we're introduced to that machine or detector or whatever you want to call it,
and then it's ultimately immediately destroyed.
Yeah, the scene afterward, it gets wrecked, and I'm like, no, that was so cool.
And I love how they went back to the classic Ghostbusters, and they used a lot of the same ghosts, not the same ghosts, but the same what would you call it? Like the purple streams coming out of.
The same effects. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the same big bad.
Yes.
You know?
But like they, instead of doing like the taxi driver, they did a miner.
Yeah.
And instead of like a ghost coming out of like the subway, because there was no subways, they had the guy with the giant eyeball.
Yeah.
And then they had,
didn't he like come out of a mailbox or something?
I think he came out of a store.
Okay.
I think he came out of the hardware store. And then instead of Slimer, we had Muncher.
Muncher. Yep. We got another similar to Slimer, Muncher, who. Another thing that people seem to be complaining about that I have to defend because I love this movie, which is when they let Muncher out of the trap so they can get their equipment back from the jail, which the whole jail sequence is amazing. Especially when Phoebe was going to kill that guy.
I got a little scared. I was like, Phoebe, what are we doing here?
When they let him out of the trap, and he just immediately was like, snack time, and just ate the bars, and then flew away. And it's like, okay, yeah, we've kind of established that Muncher likes to munch. Like, his number one priority, if he isn't in immediate danger, is just going to be to eat some stuff. Even when they were chasing him around...
he was eating a fire hydrant.
Yeah, well, he was eating a fire hydrant when they found him. I was going to say when they were chasing him around in, like, the mill building, in the industrial building. He would, like, get away from them, and then he would go munch on some stuff. Like... It was, yeah.
Our first introduction to Muncher was fantastic because Podcast found an what was it, the Aztec death whistle.
Oh my god, the death whistle.
And he was like, "I have a plan," and Phoebe was like, "No," just like, "No, let me do this." And then he flopped on getting the trap out.
Yep.
And then we were like, "Oh well, that's it. They're gonna die."
Yeah, we're shown that being a Ghostbuster is actually not that easy.
Oh yeah.
Especially if you're 12.
Oh yeah. And then like the whole everybody thinks that Egon's family is crazy. Like just because they're related just because they're related to him and everything, they think that he's crazy. They're like, "Oh, it's just Dirt Farmer's family." Yep. And that's what they called Egon. They called him the Dirt Farmer because he lived on a farm that had no sustenance to life, or he wasn't keeping it that way because the farm was one giant trap.
Yep. And when we talk to, or when Phoebe calls Ray at the sort of the
bookstore,
yeah. While they're in jail, because you can't have a good Ghostbusters film without the protagonist getting thrown in jail at some point.
Who you gonna call?
Yeah, you gotta call. Yeah, that one was a little on the nose. Even for me, I cracked up, but it was a little on the nose. And the aside from the Egon Spengler can rot in hell, and then immediately regretting that when he finds out Egon is actually dead,
and then finding out that was his grandchild that called Ray.
But the whole thing with, he left, he took Ecto, he took all the traps and stuff. He didn't take all the packs, obviously, because the Ghostbusters showed up with packs.
He didn't Ray specify. He was like, he took a proton pack, he took all the traps, he took everything, he took Ecto.
I think he calls out he took Ecto and all the traps, and all of some sort of, I don't remember what it was, but it was like some sort of consumable that they use in the packs or in the traps and or something. And yeah, he was using all those traps to set up around his house so that he could lure Zool in, so that he could lure either the Keymaster or the Gatekeeper in. And it didn't work because his system couldn't hold enough charge or something like that. And it happens again, like I said, and then they just have to energize it using the proton pack. But, like I said, I do love the fact that it doesn't work for the same reasons, because it shows that it wasn't a fluke, and that the kids aren't going to get lucky. It's like, oh, Egon got unlucky in capturing the ghost, but on another day, he might have got it. It just didn't work the way he set it up. Almost everything was right in theory, but he must have just miscalculated or underestimated one thing, and this doesn't work unless you give it more juice.
And I like how they said that Egon died of a heart attack when he doesn't die of a heart attack.
Well, we don't know. I mean, when you're getting attacked by Zool, maybe you do have a heart attack. He was a little old, and he'd also just been in a car accident.
Yeah, yeah.
There's speculation that he killed himself, like that he tased himself, but I have reason to believe he tased Zool instead because Zool, what's the word? Reacts to the taser later, like doesn't want to get near it. Um, I would understand if that is what happened. I could understand that he tased himself to induce a heart attack because he figures that he's better off trying to do it, trying to fix things from the other side, as it
The
were.
afterlife.
Yeah.
Get it?
That's the name. And yeah, I don't know. I like how much loop back there is in the movie, not just within itself, but also, within the franchise. We might not get a 80-foot Marshmallow Man, but we do get mini puffs.
Can we also talk about how Ivo Shandor is played by J. Jonah Jameson?
Yes, by J.K. Simmons.
Yes, by
Yeah.
J.K. Simmons. I get them.
Well, J.K. Simmons and J. Jonah Jameson are basically the same person. I mean,
And he gets ripped in half by
Immediately.
Gozer.
Immediately.
Immediately, he was like, I built this town for us. And then Gozer's like, nope, rips him in half. And I'm like, oh!
One of the fun parallels is that Shandor is done up in that casket, not unlike Lenin. Just a random thing, and he sort of looks like him too. He sort of looks like Lenin.
I don't know what Lennon looks like.
He looks like Ivo Shandor, as played by J.K. Simmons, I guess.
Okay.
But Gozer is hilarious in this movie, and like Gozer
Gozer is badass in this movie.
Yes.
For some reason, in the first movie, Gozer wasn't this badass.
Well, we didn't get a lot of Gozer in the first movie.
I mean, this is correct. But in this movie, Gozer is badass. Like, the way they styled this movie to taking out one of the dogs, and then it's just this outer shell.
Oh my God.
Like this inner shell of, like, she needs both to be whole. But, like, when you take one away, she's like a nervous system, if you think about it.
Yeah, like you've removed half of the interior of her, which is weird to think about, but
if you look at it, like if you were like focusing on Gozer, when she came out of the cornfield, all you could see was eyes, teeth, and like a whole bunch of like stringy lights looking things, like a nervous system. Like if you took like the skin off your like the skin and the muscles off your body and you were just veins, like it looked like a nervous system.
I get what you're saying. I think that just as you brought up the trapping half of Gozer, what a great plan.
Yes.
What an ingenious way to cut down on Gozer's ability to do anything, to trap half of something that I don't think in a million years I would have come up with. It's brilliant.
You know what's funny too? In the first Ghostbusters, they don't see Dana and what's his name turn into the dogs.
Right.
But in this one, you see them turn into the dogs, and I like how they got the mom first, and then they rescued Gary at the end after everything was resolved.
Well, and then Lucky gets turned into one of the dogs.
Lucky does get turned into one of the dogs.
Which we have thus far not mentioned Lucky, which is a crime because I wish there had been more of her in that movie.
Lucky was fantastic.
I wish there was more of everything in that movie. I need a director's cut. I need, with the other scenes of the old Ghostbusters tucked in to the middle of the movie, which, I mean, it makes sense that they're not there, but just for flow and everything. But and with all the extra stuff, like, we never see them coming out of the room, never see them coming out of his underground lab. Like, they're obviously not shimmying up a fire pole, so there has to be a door somewhere, right?
Yeah. There could be.
we never see. We don't see a lot of Lucky, obviously. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I just feel like there are things that we could see more of. I want to see more of. We never get the training montage, right? The Ghostbusters have the one and two. They sort of have montages of busting ghosts, and
Busted.
and basically the only ghost that gets busted in Afterlife, aside from Gozer,
Is Muncher.
is Muncher. Exactly. We don't get that. It's
I think that it's just in Phoebe's DNA to just bust ghosts.
oh, I mean 100%.
But can we just talk about the fact that Finn was supposed to get his driver's license for this movie
Yeah, and he failed.
and didn't get his license? The
All
funny thing is, though, Phoebe mentions he failed his driver's test how many times? Like 3?
I think it was 3 times Finn failed his driver's test.
And they brought that into the movie.
Yeah. Well, also, wasn't he? He was like 15 in the movie, right? Because Phoebe says that to him when they're in the mine, and
Mhm.
Lucky's like, "What?"
You're 15?
Yeah, but
He's like, I'm going to be 16 in February. It's March.
yeah, or I think it was June.
Oh, yeah, it's
Yeah.
June.
But either way, I keep just saying Zool, but it's Zool and Vince. Vince is the other one. Vince is the other terror dog, which is the one that is rampaging through Walmart. The Walmart sequence is gold. The mini puffs are gold. The Paul Rudd jumping into his car through the broken windshield is
Thinking that's going to protect him.
well, he tries to drive away.
And then he screams like a bitch. I'm sorry, Paul Rudd.
Well, you know, if when you're the sexiest man alive, you gotta have some fault somewhere, right? And a girly scream. I mean, when you're faced with a terror dog, it's called a terror dog for a reason. But the whole shtick with the board of Callie that Egon made is there are a lot of questions left unanswered with regards to like, yeah, she says that he abandoned them, whatever, but at what age we do not know, because based on her age, she would have been alive during Ghostbusters 1, I think, if just like a small child, like toddler. But it's sort of a question of, okay, was he around for her childhood, or like young childhood, and then
Maybe he was, but then he got too enveloped in Ghost and in the Ghostbusters,
Yeah.
and he left.
which I mean, clearly he went crazy about the end of the world, and he left Ray and everything. So, you know what? It's just the kind of thing where he is, one of the most. He's one of the 2 most dedicated Ghostbusters, obviously, and he's definitely, I don't know, maybe the wackier one, but maybe not, depending on how you measure it. We never hear about his family in the first 2 movies, but we don't really hear about anybody's family in the first 2 movies aside from Dana's.
Well, because Dana's getting attacked.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm saying there's good reason for it. So it's not necessarily out of the question that he had this family and that he was part of it for at least a few years while Callie was alive, and then maybe his obsession with Bustin caused a breakup and he was never allowed to see his daughter. I mean, maybe it wasn't his fault at all.
This is true. It could be very true. It could be a numerous amount of reasons as to why he left his life and left his child behind, and maybe he did it to protect her, ultimately,
Yeah.
He thought maybe Callie would be better off without him in his life, in her life, and he just decided to up and leave. I mean, it's a high possibility.
Yeah, I mean, people are complex, and I feel like that's undersold in the movies too often. When you get Ray saying, Egon Spengler can rot in hell, you sort of gotta wonder, like, wow, how can you be this mad at him? But like I said, you can tell it's just he regrets it immediately, especially when he finds out
That he's dead.
that he's dead. So
Can we go back to the basement scene where they're all underground and they all put the suits on?
oh hell yeah,
And freaking I love how it goes. It went Phoebe, Trevor, podcast, Lucky,
mm-hmm.
and I was like, do they all say Spangler on them, or did they all say different names?
I would think they were all Spengler jumpsuits. I feel like they would have to be. I mean, it doesn't necessarily make sense for him to take everyone else's if he had multiple copies of his own, which I would assume everyone has more than one. And the Ghostbusters show up in the original Ghostbusters show up in their jumpsuits, so they still had theirs. I would assume they're all Spengler. I would think they're all Spengler. Or maybe some of them were unlabeled. You know.
I don't know, but that was my thought. Like, do they all say Spangler, or do they all say, like, Spangler stands
Zedmore and
Venkman, which is our cat's name.
Yes, we did get a cat, and we knew we were probably gonna do a Ghostbusters name when we got a cat. We were thinking of like, oh, if we get a white cat, we're gonna call it Ecto, but then we got this, and for whatever reason, I have no idea. It wasn't even in my mind, but I saw this cat, and I went, it's Venkman. It's Venkman. Like, there's no way it's not. So, anyway, there's so much more to say about this movie. The effects, how it was the blend of practical and digital, that just looks so good. You know the trap field? Mm-hmm. That was all practical. All those lights in the ground, they were real. They were all traps that were buried in that field. Props from Spirit Halloween that they had set up and wired so that they could open and everything. I saw a video of it. Adam Savage has so many great videos, because he's also a total nerd, of course, of him seeing all the props and practical effects and talking with Jason Reitman and stuff like that. It's so good. If you want more about this movie, go watch some Adam Savage content.
All right, let's get into the star rating.
Okay, it's 5 stars. I'm gonna go with 5 stars. Absolutely. This is the sequel.
The way we were gushing about this movie, I don't think we need to explain our reasoning to the star rating.
Are you also doing 5?
Yes.
Oh my god, yes, I love you. I knew I loved you for a reason.
Also, what was it, a couple weeks ago, Ivan Reitman, the father to Jason Reitman, passed away.
He also passed away, that's true.
He passed away, what was he, 65?
He wasn't that old. Hold on. Reitman age.
He was 75. I was a little generous. I gave him 10 years.
And he looked pretty good, other than, unlike Bill Murray, who looks like hell. But
how old is Bill Murray?
Bill Murray's old as dirt, man. Bill Murray age. No, he's 71.
My God.
He looks old as dirt. He's 4 years younger than Ivan Reitman. That's insane. I would have never guessed that. I would have thought he was like 8 years old.
And look at Sigourney Weaver. She's a year younger than him.
Sigourney Weaver looks good. I will remind everyone, Bill Murray's the same age as Bruce Springsteen, I think, or he's a little bit younger. And I'll remind everyone that William Shatner is 91.
Dan Aykroyd's 69 years old.
Nice. Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, William Shatner is 90. Sorry.
And he looks like that?
Yeah. Right? He went to space.
I forgot he went to space.
He rode Jeff Bezos' dick rocket to space. Phrasing.
Gross.
Anyway. Yeah, 5 stars. I mean, this is the movie that Ghostbusters fans waited 30 years for. And I am one of them.
32 years, it says.
Right. But I also feel like I waited that long, even though I never really seriously watched Ghostbusters until a couple of years ago. Like, I'd seen it, but I never was like, ooh, I really want to watch Ghostbusters. And now I just want to watch Ghostbusters.
What did I get you for Valentine's Day?
Oh my god. You got me the 3-disc, or the set of the 3 of them. 1, 2, and Afterlife.
And what else
So,
should I get you?
you got me an Ecto-1 license plate, which I cannot put on the wagon because in Rhode Island we need a front and rear plate. But if I ever drive out of state, I might just take it and throw it on just for kicks. I mean, why not? Busted makes me feel good. That's all I can say.
You do know my mother watches this podcast, right?
Yeah, and it's just a song reference. I don't see how that can be misconstrued any worse than Jeff Bezos' dick rocket.
Anyway,
Anyway,
please like, comment, and subscribe. We're trying to get the video to 100. We're trying to get the channel to 100 subscribers so we can change the URL.
Yep, etc., etc. We also just want you to see more of these. And for those who have seen this and didn't stick around until after the credits, even the mid-credit scene is great. The mid-credit scene is Sigourney Weaver and Bill Murray with the zapping machine.
Well, it cuts to Spangler and Annie Potts.
That's that's after the credits.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, the mid-credit scene, because remember Sigourney Weaver's name comes up in the credits, and we were both like, well, where is she? And then it does the mid-credit scene.
But then they do the scene with Spangler and what's her name? Who does Annie Potts?
We got one. Janine.
Janine, and she's giving him the coin.
Yep. It's my lucky souvenir coin. I shouldn't take this. Take it anyway.
I have two.
I have another one at home.
And then and then there's the after credit scene with Zedmore and
Janine.
Janine.
It's back to back. It is the Sigourney Weaver scene is in the middle of the credits, and then the credits finish, and then you get that cut. I don't know if it's a cut scene or if it's an actual scene. I think it's from Ghostbusters 2.
I thought it was from Ghostbusters 1.
Is it? It might be from 1.
It looks like after they defeat before they go up to the State Puft Marshmallow Man.
Yeah, you might be right. Where she gives him the coin, and then it cuts to her with the coin talking to Ernie Hudson, or Winston Zedmore, about his successful business life. I can't remember what they said. What they said Venkman was doing. I think he was like a professor or something.
Yeah, living with Dana and.
Yep.
And Zedmore is funding Ray's bookshop.
Yep, because Zedmore's like a bajillionaire.
And they take Ecto back to New York, to the original firehouse, and that's where they leave us.
Yep. And so I really hope we get this one about doubled its budget, about the same as Encanto, actually. And we don't
talk about
Bustin'.
We don't talk about Egon.
Yeah, Callie be like. But for real, they left it in a great place to take off with a TV series or another movie. I would honestly have hope for a TV series with the new Ghostbusters.
I would love to see a TV series of this. I would also like to see another movie, but mostly I would like to see a TV series because I feel like they could do so much. They could put so much into the TV show, but they could put so much more into a movie.
They could put a lot into a movie. I think, though, the TV show would be great as an intermediate because you have the kids learning the ropes of ghost busting with Zedmore and
maybe Finn learning how to drive.
Yeah, Finn learning how to drive in New York City, no less. But them learning the ropes of ghost busting, you get a great Monster of the Week format that doesn't have to be world stakes all the time. And, that passing of the torch, and then you have a movie where they are, like, fully powered Ghostbusters, where they know all the tricks, and they have to deal with, I don't know, maybe, what's his face again from the painting?
Vigo!
Yeah, Vigo, thank you. Again, with
the great Vigo!
Maybe they have to deal with Vigo again, who knows?
I don't think they'd have to deal with Vigo again, because if you think about it, when they cut it to the end scene where they go into, like, the basement where they would put the ghosts.
Oh yeah, that's right.
The light was flashing.
Yeah, the trap, the ghost containment unit in the firehouse is like gonna explode. It's gonna you're gonna have another incident like when Dickless turned off the power grid. Anyway, we're way over time, so uh, we could do like a double episode on this if we wanted to. But point is, go watch the additional content. Go watch this movie if you haven't, and go watch the first two Ghostbuster movies if you haven't, Shelby. Um,
Just call her out like that.
I
How dare you?
100% am calling Shelby out. Loves Halloween, has never seen Ghostbusters. But, babe, you want to watch a movie?
Fuck yeah!